Serious first alert day weather coverage to get to.
And I fear it's just going to set off a chain reaction of a lot of winter on the way. So if you have been wondering where all the snow is, you may get what you're wishing for here. Let's start off with what we have on the way today. Not a big snowmaker by any means, but what we're going to watch for is after 10 o'clock, some rain chances building in with this first alert 6 weather day. Around 3 could be the earliest wet snowflakes mixing in, especially north. By 6, I think most of us have some snow falling. So I think we can get home from the workday pretty easily. No school in session, so that's good news there. And then some wet snow is what we'll start with. So therefore, melting likely plays a factor in this one. It's going to be tough because the moisture's there to make some 3, maybe even 4-inch snowfalls, but the temperatures don't quite line up to do that, in my opinion. Therefore, most of us will probably get below 2 inches due to the melting, some compaction. If you're wondering where the best odds of getting over 2 inches of snow are, it's to the northwest of Omaha, up here in northeast parts of Nebraska, Norfolk, West Point, for our viewers here north of the Platte River. Best odds of getting 2 inches of snow at least to stick. So this is what it looks like by noon today, with the rain starting to fill in, and then we'll just see more and more of it here as the afternoon goes along. Pretty soggy 3 o'clock hour. By then we're right around 40 degrees for the high. By 4 to 5, we're still looking at mostly rain, but look at the snow trying to change over. You could see a wet snowflake or two then. By 6 to 7, look how the colder air starts to work its way in from the north. And yes, it can still snow when our air temperatures are at 32 or greater, because we measure the temperature in the lowest 6 feet or so of the atmosphere. Everywhere above that would be plenty cold enough to snow, and that last little 6 to 12 feet is not going to melt it before it hits the ground. The ground may melt it a little bit, but you notice 7, 8, 9 o'clock, there you go, with some snow moving through the area. And that's when it could be at its heaviest, and then it starts to taper off from there. Lighter snow after 10 o'clock with some snow showers still trying to add up a little bit. 3 o'clock, you can see not a ton left. From 3 to about 6 a.m., it's gone, but temperatures are down in the upper 20s. So then we got to watch out for slick spots tomorrow morning. Shouldn't have any falling snow, but it's enough that I think it could cause problems in some areas tomorrow morning. Now, snowfall forecast, like I mentioned, less than 2 inches of accumulation in the metro. The areas in white here, you get the light blue shaded areas. You're talking a few totals that could get up over 2 inches, especially to the northwest, the way things look as of now. Don't forget about the wind as well. After 6 o'clock, those gusts could get up to 30, 35 miles per hour. And I showed you, that's kind of that prime time window there, 6 to about 10 o'clock, where some of the heavier snow could be falling. And that could be blowing around some of those wet snowflakes. We got to watch for that causing visibility issues. And then the wind will stick with us even as the snow tapers off heading towards tomorrow morning. Blowing and drifting might be a little tough just because of the wet, heavy nature of this snow. We're going to be in the 20s to start off tomorrow, and then warm up to about 31. So not a ton of melting, but I think we can likely get rid of most of it with direct sunlight. So if you want to get the car wash today, don't. Probably going to waste a little money. Pocket that, though. You're going to want a car wash here very soon.
Okay. Because this isn't a one and done deal, is it? There's plenty of chances coming up.
This looks like it's kind of unlocking things and getting us into the winter pattern we haven't quite had yet.
Yeah.
We've had officially 0.2 of an inch of snow. We got a little bit on the way tonight, and we got to watch Thursday morning for another chance in the early morning hours. I think that one could impact the commute. There's the potential for that to be a first alert weather day, for Sunday or Saturday night into Sunday to be a bigger snow and be a first alert couple of weather days, and then Monday maybe even too with the surge of the cold air that's in behind this. Look at these morning lows down below 0. That's the air temperature, folks. Some models suggest that we could have double-digit below 0 wind chills as everybody's trying to get back to work and school in full form. I know, I'm with you.
Welcome back.
The wind chills, I think, are going to be the worst part of all this. Everybody's going to be probably okay with the snow, but that cold air is going to bite next week. Trust me, we haven't had anything that cold yet.
It's been a minute.
It's rough. It's been a minute. And it's also been a minute since we had some serious traffic impacts. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that because we know people are heading back to work today, but so far, things seem to be smooth.
It's been pretty good so far. As we see the day unfold, of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on road conditions with how things evolve with that precip that Rusty was just talking about. So let's look at how things unfold through the day. Do have a little bit of some fog if you're heading into northwest Missouri. That's where that's the thickest right now. So that's one concern if you're going to be in that direction. But otherwise, we see the rain start to build in as we get into the late morning and into the afternoon. Just some wet roads that we're looking at there. We start to mix in some snow as we get toward the evening commute, and we'll see how the melting evolves with that. I do, as Rusty was just saying, expect the worst conditions to be as we get overnight. We start picking some of that wind up, cause some visibility issues, and some of our worst travel happens as we get later in the evening. And we'll still have to watch for some slick spots as we start off tomorrow. And there's what I was talking about with the fog. You can see a half-mile visibility showing up there in Maryville. Limited visibility near Clarinda. Most of us, though, are looking at things in better shape than they have been with some of the fog situations over the last couple of last week or so, I should say. 480, do keep in mind, if you use that exit to go to Martha, usually northbound to Martha, that is closed. We actually had a water main break that happened late last week. That's still in place, and there's unfortunately no scheduled time frame for when that does reopen. So you'll need to work your way around that this morning. But we look at the map, you can see things are pretty quiet out there. There's not too much in the way of issues. You can see maybe a slight slowdown there as you're heading westbound on L approaching the JFK, but lots of green. And as people do head back to the office this morning, that's the sort of thing they want to see. Now, maybe you're not heading to the office. Maybe you're heading to Epley. If you are taking Highway 75, you're in good shape there. We've had some minor delays that have been happening right near Epley, but I checked the flights. Those seem to be in good order this morning. We aren't seeing any kind of delays or cancellations there. So travel is really shaping up pretty good.
You've got good news all around.
Yeah.
Now that one over there. No, I'm kidding.
I'll work on it.
Just kidding. All right, we do have some news to get to. Reaction to the death of former President Jimmy Carter continues to pour in from local lawmakers. Governor Pillen praised Carter's service to others, saying it continued long after he left the presidency, and his unwavering faith and dedication to his family were a model for us all. Pillen also issued a directive to fly Nebraska flags at half-staff for 30 days.
Meanwhile, Governor Reynolds says the former president, quote, never stopped living his faith through service, and his belief in putting God's love into action has inspired generations of Americans.
A big part of Carter's legacy was Habitat for Humanity.
And we spoke with a couple of Omaha men who worked with former president to build up others. Don Bowers and Ken Marr were two of the 400 people who built homes in Haiti back in 2011. They, along with Carter, helped to build and remodel more than 4,000 homes. Both men say Carter never wasted a minute getting things done.
The main piece of what he tells and all the different stories that he tells around Habitat and the Jimmy Carter Work Project is, let's get to work.
He said, don't come around and look for photo ops, because I'm not going to stop. Because when we're doing that, you're not working and I'm not working, and we've got work to do here.
We have more local reaction to Carter's death up at our website. That's at firstalert6.com.
Aaron, thank you. Now to First Alert 6 Safety Desk. I'm here with Maria Kate, and today's expected to be one of the busiest travel days of the holiday season. A lot of people heading home after visiting with family and friends.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going out and flying, you might be a little nervous. Maybe it's your first time, but air experts, people who work in TSA, they said that flying is very safe statistically. So you really don't have anything to worry about if this might be your first time. You're a little bit on edge, especially compared to driving too. Now, there are some safeguards that are in place that can prevent anything that's not supposed to happen from happening. Now, experts say airports are designed so planes with failed landing gear can slide in safely.
If it veers off the runway to one side or the other into the grass, that there isn't obstructions and barriers of this type that are close to the runway.
Now, if you were worried about any birds impacting your flight, he says he's never seen any accidents where a bird strike could cause the landing gear to not come down, so you should be good there. In fact, experts say planes are designed to fly and land safely, even if there is just one engine.
That's good to keep in mind, right? All right, well, just a few more days into 2025, and many of our viewers are thinking of how they can be a better version in this next year.
Yeah, you got to get those resolutions in place. Start thinking about them now, and if you plan on making one of those resolutions, solutions, but you haven't picked out a perfect one yet, experts are saying you might want to think about crafting in the new year, because this could have a really great impact on your mental and physical health too. The hobby's popularity continues to climb, and while it's not new, research into the health benefits of crafting is. Now, experts say different crafts like knitting, painting, drawing, and pottery, those can actually bring you peace. So research from the National Endowment for the Arts Agency says arts education, it can help kids in so many different ways. This could mean a better way to cope with feelings, bouncing back from adversity, or developing some tolerance and compassion for others while you're crafting. Now, for older adults, the agency says participating in art, that's been linked to positive physical health outcomes.
Think back to what interested you as a kid and lean into that. Try new things with a positive, open mind, and do be patient with yourself. You don't have to be great at this or even good at this to get the benefits.
Some good advice there, especially with something that, many people might think you need to have, a lot of skill to do, but even just trying it out can really help. There are other crafts that can help promote positive mental health as well. This includes crocheting, maybe designing some photo books, and coloring too.
I heard a lot of people take, my mother used to swear by it, her coloring book, my cousin does too.
Yeah, I have one.
Do you?
It's a little bit of a time to decompress, focus on just one thing and let your mind clear for a little bit.
I'm making me some colored pencils for 2025. All right, Maria Kay from the Safety Desk, thank you so much. We'll be right back, folks.
All right, the time now is 7:14 on this Monday morning. Of course, all this morning we've been talking about it is a 6 alert weather day. Things kind of get started around 10 a.m. and then they kind of progress throughout the day. How should we expect that to happen?
10 a.m. is basically the earliest we'd see some rain, and then there's just more and more and more of it on the radar as the afternoon goes along. So keep that in mind. Rain will change over to snow today and tonight. I think after 3 o'clock we have the earliest rain shower, or earliest snow showers, I should say. And I think this is going to kickstart a busier pattern. Several more chances for snow here. The coldest air we've had so far this season, setting up for early January. I'll show you that in just a bit. First alert weather day, though, for today. Chilly rain chances after about 10 a.m. More and more as we go into the afternoon. By 3, could have some wet snow mix in. By 6, I think most of us have snow falling as it'll transition from north to south. Melting gets in the way a little bit of accumulation. I said this a little earlier. The moisture's there, I think, to make some 3, maybe even some 4-inch totals. But there's melting. It's going to be a wet snow. It's going to compact. I think most of us probably end up with less than 2 inches. But there is moisture there to make more. So this is what we'll be watching. Tough one just because the temperatures are going to be above 32 while a lot of this happens as well. Rain moving in already. We have snow back here to the northwest. You look at the radar, though, pretty quiet. There's a little bit of shower activity around Falls City. We got to saturate the air just a little bit. That's why we're waiting until probably 10 o'clock for most of us see our first showers. Anything before that on models is going to be a little iffy. By 10, 11, 12, you notice the rain becoming a little more widespread. More and more of that, though. We head towards 3, earliest snow trying to mix in our northwestern counties. That's why the snow could add up a little bit more there by 4 and 5. And notice how we head towards 7. More of the green turning to blue, meaning we will have snow, and the heaviest could be in that 7, 8, 9 o'clock hour. Notice temperature still above 32, so that's why we could get a little melting. The melting won't be a fast pace. It may snow a little faster than the melting can take care of it. That's why we'll gradually build up some accumulation. After midnight, the snow really starts to taper off. Not too much left by 3. and early in the morning tomorrow, we're pretty much done with it. So less than 2 inches of accumulation is what I expect in the metro area, points to the east and south. Up to 2 inches, maybe a little bit more in some spots in our northern counties. If you're watching in eastern Nebraska here north of the Platte River, you have the best bet probably to get up over 2 inches of snow with this one. Don't forget about the wind too. After 6 o'clock, that'll gust 30 to 35, and that is going to create some blowing snow, and we'll see what it can do blowing it back across the road. Now, tomorrow we start off 24. Got to watch out for slick spots, 31 for the high. Then Wednesday night into Thursday, the next chance of snow, once we get through today, we may end up making this a first alert weather day because it could be a little morning coating of snow for Thursday morning. And sometimes it's the small snows that cause the biggest problems. We're all going back to work on Thursday. After the holiday, everybody pouring back on the roads. That's one to watch here as we go in the short term, I think. That one's starting to sneak up on computer models.
All right, and you also mentioned we're going to start seeing some of the coldest air of the season. When can we expect that, and how cold are you talking, Rusty?
Right when I push this little button right here.
Okay.
There it
is. Whoop, there it is.
We got the potential there for a snowstorm Saturday night into Sunday we're going to have to watch for, and that could unlock the coldest air of the season. Look at that. Some sub-zero morning lows, afternoon highs that struggle to get up near 10 degrees, and that could mean some wind chills that are in the double digits below a zero. So all things pointing towards some cold air spilling in from the north. So every little round of snow just tries to drag in a little more cold air with it.
Now, if you push that button, will it disappear again?
Yeah.
We'll try
doesn't work like that, does it?
We'll try it about a week and see if it works.
All right.
What you were saying is it's less than 2 inches. I forget the exact statistic, but a lot of the crashes that do happen when there's an inch or less of snow on the road. So don't completely shrug this off.
Yeah, that's why Thursday morning worries me a little bit.
All right. In the meantime, let's get an update on our traffic here. So far, smooth sailing.
Yeah, we've got dry roads out there. If you're maybe heading back after a vacation for the holiday, let's touch on some of the things that you need to know about that you maybe missed that have started up in that time frame. You've got some varying lane restrictions, 72nd and F. You can see how things are a little slow as you're heading toward that intersection from the east. This is scheduled to be in place through Wednesday, so that's an area to watch for some work that's happening. You go a little further to the north and east. We touched on this just a little bit ago, but the exit is closed from I-480 northbound to Martha. This was a water main break that happened late last week, and repairs still happening. So unfortunately, no time frame has been given as far as how long this will remain in place. You'll need to work your way around this to get to Martha. Maybe use 24th, use 13th. That'll get you where you need to go to get to those areas. There's what it looks like right now through there, and there you can see that closure that is in place. Otherwise, what we're seeing, we've got some updates for the 72nd and Maple area. You can see that we have still one-lane travel in each direction on 72nd between Maple and Lake. That's now scheduled through January 10th. And then on the north side of that intersection, you've got the construction continuing with lane restrictions all the way through the end of January. So not good updates for that area. The good news is it looks like things are working their way to improvement if you're heading on Maple in those areas to the east of 72nd. So progress being made, just slow progress. But if you're heading out the door right now, looks pretty good if you're going to be driving on the roads.
I like the sound of that. All right, Jared, thank you. Well, a stabbing in the Millard area sent one person to the hospital. This happened in the Walgreens parking lot near 135th and Q. Less than an hour ago, OPD tells us the victim was in critical condition. 32-year-old Bria Crawford Scott was booked on assault and weapons charges.
Well, shocking new details this morning in a shooting and police chase that happened in Omaha. 6 teens and 1 adult all in custody now. Officers found a woman who had been shot in the area of 44th and Redmond. She is said to be in stable condition. While gang unit officers tried to stop a speeding car nearby, a chase then ensued near 60th and Fowler. A second shooting victim was in the car. A third victim walked to the hospital.
Well, it is the world's biggest New Year's celebration.
Yeah, find out how the Big Apple is making sure it goes off without a hitch. That's when we come back.
Welcome back, everybody. The confetti is officially ready to drop on Times Square.
Yeah, the annual confetti test took place in advance of New Year's Eve celebrations. Organizers released multicolored confetti from the Planet Fitness Center stage. 3,000 pounds of confetti will drop at midnight on New Year's Eve. I feel like that.
So the confetti is all dropped by hand. We have confetti volunteers that are in all of the buildings around the area. It's fluffed by hand. It's thrown from the windows of the building.
Well, the confetti pieces will have thousands of wishes written on them. They were submitted at the New Year's Eve wishing well in Times Square. All right, back to what I was going to say before. I didn't realize that there was sound. So I feel like that's probably the biggest time where you have to make sure that something goes right. Right? Like you do tests for things and make sure. That's like you can't mess that up. Yeah.
Oh. And do you guys think they read those little messages that they handwrite on them?
You probably like
I would.
Yeah, maybe if you're grab
keep
some while they're falling.
I think it's cool that they do that.
Looks like a bunch of Post-it notes.
Yeah. No, my
fun.
friend was there when they did the test over the weekend, and she said it was a sight to see, but I don't think she's going to be there on the night of.
Well, at least she got a little taste.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We got to get ready for our update in the Today Show. You can watch it here on streaming, or you can watch it live on the air.
All right. See you soon.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Monday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. Let's get an update on weather and traffic this morning.
Now we're going to look at what we have out the door as we get rolling here on a First Alert day. Pretty quiet to start today, but some chilly rain on the way after 10 o'clock. What'll likely happen is we'll mix in some wet snow after 3. Most of us should have all snow by 6 as it transitions from north to south. Now, wet snow would be what we get to start with. Therefore, there's going to be a little melting. 2 inches or less. It may stick a little better on some grassy surfaces than on paved surfaces. There's a lot of residual warmth in some of the pavement as well. Less than 2 inches in the metro. Moisture there to make more, but I just don't think that much is going to stick. A few 2-inch plus totals to our north as this gets going later on this evening and wraps up overnight tonight. You can see what we have here. By 9 o'clock, there's the rain trying to move in, but it really fills in by lunch. And there's a soggy afternoon on the way. We're likely waiting towards 6, 7 o'clock before we get that full changeover to snow. Jarrett?
And that's when we'll start to see more impacts on the roadways as a result of this. There you can see how we start getting some of those yellows and oranges and get some slushy accumulation. Before that, we're in good shape. Early this morning, we have to watch for a little bit of some fog, particularly if you're heading your way to the south and east of the metro, northwest Missouri. That's where you could run into some of that. So that's a concern if you're going to be traveling in those areas. Aside from that, though, we're off to a really quiet start to our morning drive. Anyone who's heading back to the office, looks like you're problem-free in the early going.
Well, stabbing in the Millard area sent one person to the hospital. This happened at the Walgreens parking lot near 135th and Q. Less than an hour ago, OPD tells us the victim was in critical condition. 32-year-old Bria Crawford Scott was booked on assault and weapons charges.
It is 7:28, and we are back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.